Have you ever left a job interview thinking, I think it went okay, and then never heard back from the company again?
That is one of the worst feelings ever.
It really is, because sometimes people walk into interviews believing they are doing everything right, but without realizing it, they are making small mistakes that completely change how they are perceived.
And the scary part is that some of those mistakes seem very small.
Exactly. Something as simple as arriving late, giving short answers, dressing the wrong way, or even checking your phone can make you look unprofessional in just a few seconds.
Wow, so sometimes people lose opportunities before the interview even really starts.
That is absolutely true. Employers pay attention to everything, not just what you say, but how you say it, how you sit, how you react, how you listen, and even how you enter the room.
That sounds stressful.
It can be, but the good news is that once you know the most common interview mistakes, you can avoid them.
And that can make you stand out immediately.
Exactly, because most candidates focus only on preparing answers, but the smartest candidates also prepare their attitude, body language, confidence, and communication style.
So in today's episode, we're going to talk about 20 interview mistakes that make you look unprofessional.
And some of these mistakes are so common that almost everyone has made at least one of them before.
I definitely have.
Most people have, but by the end of this episode, you will know exactly what to avoid so you can walk into your next interview looking more confident, prepared, and professional.
And if you have ever made an embarrassing interview mistake before, do not worry, you are definitely not alone.
Absolutely. And before we continue, comment below and tell us the worst interview experience you have ever had.
And don't forget to subscribe to Talk Easy Daily, because we make episodes that help you improve your English and your real-life communication skills at the same time.
Because sometimes one small change can completely change your future.
And the first mistake we're about to talk about is something that happens before the interview even begins.
The first mistake that makes people look unprofessional is arriving late.
That one seems obvious, but so many people still do it.
Exactly. Some people think being 5 or 10 minutes late is not a big deal, especially if they have a good excuse.
Like traffic, bad weather, or getting lost.
Yes, but from the employer's perspective, arriving late sends a message. It says, I'm not prepared, or I don't respect your time.
Even if that's not true.
Exactly. First impressions happen very fast. If you arrive late, stressed, out of breath, and apologizing, the interview already starts with negative energy.
That makes sense. It's hard to feel confident when you're rushing.
Exactly. A much better idea is to arrive 10 to 15 minutes early.
Not too early though, right?
Right. If you arrive 30 or 40 minutes early, that can also make things uncomfortable. But arriving 10 minutes early shows that you're organized, responsible, and serious about the opportunity.
And it probably helps you relax too.
Absolutely. You can sit down, take a deep breath, check your appearance, and prepare mentally.
That's such a good tip, because when people rush, they often forget things.
Exactly. They forget documents, forget names, forget what they wanted to say.
So if you have an interview, always plan for delays.
Exactly. Leave early. Check the location in advance. Make sure you know where to park or how to enter the building.
And if something unexpected happens?
Call immediately. Do not wait until you're already late. Show respect by communicating early.
That can make a huge difference.
It really can, because employers understand that problems happen. What matters is how you professionally handle them.
And that leads to another common mistake, dressing in a way that looks too casual.
This is a huge one. People often underestimate how much appearance matters in an interview.
Some people think it's just about my skills. Clothes shouldn't matter.
But the reality is that clothes do matter because they show effort.
Exactly. If someone shows up wearing dirty shoes, wrinkled clothes, or something too casual, it can look like they don't care.
Yes, even if they're talented, the employer may think, if this person did not prepare for the interview, will they prepare for work?
That's such an important point.
You don't always need to wear an expensive suit. It depends on the company and the job, but you should always look clean, neat, and professional.
So even if the company has a relaxed environment, you should still make an effort.
Absolutely. It's always better to be slightly overdressed than underdressed.
I remember someone once told me, dress for the job you want, not the job you have.
That's good advice, because the way you present yourself communicates confidence.
And when you look professional, you often feel professional too.
Exactly. Clothes can affect your mindset. If you look polished, you often speak more confidently and carry yourself better.
So before an interview, make sure your clothes are clean, your hair looks neat, and your shoes are appropriate.
Exactly. And avoid anything too distracting.
Like very strong perfume, too much jewelry, or clothes with big logos.
Exactly. You want people to focus on your skills and personality, not your outfit.
That's such a good rule.
And another mistake that immediately makes people look unprofessional is checking their phone during the interview.
Oh no, that's terrible.
It really is. Imagine you're talking to someone and suddenly they look down at their phone.
That feels so rude.
Exactly. It makes the other person feel unimportant.
Even if you're just checking the time, it still looks bad.
Yes, during an interview, your phone should be completely silent and out of sight.
Not on the table.
Definitely not on the table, because even seeing the phone can create distraction.
That's true, and if it lights up or vibrates, your attention immediately changes.
Exactly. The interviewer wants to feel that you are fully present, because if you can't stay focused for 30 minutes, they may wonder how focused you'll be at work.
Exactly, and there's another common phone mistake people make before the interview even begins.
What's that?
Walking into the building while still texting or talking on the phone.
Oh, wow. That already creates a bad impression.
It does, because the receptionist, the assistant, or even the interviewer may see you before the interview begins.
And first impressions start much earlier than people realize.
Exactly, so put your phone away, look alert, and act professionally from the beginning.
Exactly, because professionalism is not something you turn on only when the interview starts.
That's such a great point.
Another major mistake is not researching the company before the interview.
That one surprises me because it seems so easy to avoid.
It does, but many people still walk into interviews without knowing anything about the company.
That must look really bad.
It does. Imagine the interviewer asks, "What do you know about our company?" And you say, "Honestly, not much."
That sounds like you don't care.
Exactly. It makes it seem like you're applying to every job without thinking.
And companies want to feel like you specifically want to work for them.
Yes, you don't need to know every detail, but you should know the basics.
Like what the company does, what products or services they offer, and maybe their values.
Exactly. You should also understand the job description.
Because if you don't understand the role, it's hard to explain why you're a good fit.
Exactly. Research helps you answer questions more intelligently.
And it probably feels you more confident too.
Absolutely. When you know more about the company, you feel less nervous because you understand what they're looking for.
That's such a good point.
Here is a quick tip for viewers. Before any interview, spend at least 15 or 20 minutes researching the company website, social media pages, and recent news.
That small amount of preparation can make you stand out immediately.
Exactly, because most people do not prepare enough.
And the people who do prepare often seem much more confident and professional.
That is true. And another mistake that hurts many candidates is giving answers that are too short.
Oh, yes, like when the interviewer asks a question and the person only says one sentence.
Exactly. Imagine the interviewer asks, "Tell me about yourself," and the person says, "I am hardworking and I like teamwork."
That is not enough.
Not even close. Short answers make the conversation feel awkward.
And they make the interviewer work harder.
Exactly. The interviewer should not have to pull information out of you.
So people should give detailed answers.
Detailed, but not too long. You want to explain your ideas clearly, give examples, and show personality.
That sounds much better.
For example, if someone asks, "What is one of your strengths?" do not just say, "I am organized."
Say why.
Exactly. You could say, "One of my strengths is organization. In my last job, I managed multiple projects at the same time and always met deadlines."
That sounds much stronger.
Exactly, because examples make your answers more believable.
I think many people become nervous and forget to explain themselves.
That happens all the time. But remember, the interview is your chance to tell your story.
So don't be afraid to talk about your experiences.
Exactly. Because if you give very short answers, the interviewer may think you are not interested, not confident, or not prepared.
And that is definitely not the impression you want to give.
Exactly. And stay with us, because next we are going to talk about some even bigger interview mistakes, including talking too much, complaining about old jobs, and saying something that instantly destroys your credibility. Another mistake that makes people look unprofessional is talking too much.
Wait, really? I thought the problem was usually giving answers that are too short.
That is true, but there is another extreme. Some people answer one simple question for 5 or 10 minutes.
Oh no.
Exactly. They start talking, forget the original question, and keep adding in more and more details.
I have definitely done that when I was nervous.
A lot of people do. Nervous people often talk too much because silence feels uncomfortable.
But if you talk too much, the interviewer may lose interest.
Exactly. Long answers can make you seem unfocused.
So what is the solution?
Try to keep your answers clear and organized. Answer the question, give 1 or 2 examples, and then stop.
That sounds much better.
Here's a simple structure. First, answer the question directly, then explain briefly, then give an example.
That makes it easier to stay focused.
Exactly. Because when people talk too much, they often accidentally say things that hurt their chances.
Like what?
Like speaking negatively about our previous boss or company.
Oh wow, that is a huge mistake.
It really is. Many people think they are being honest when they complain about an old job.
They say things like, my manager was terrible, or everyone there was lazy.
Exactly. But when you speak badly about former employers, it makes you look negative and difficult.
Even if what you were saying is true.
Exactly. The interviewer may start thinking, if we hire this person, will they talk about us like this too?
That is such a good point.
You never want to sound bitter or angry.
So what should people say if they left a bad job?
Stay professional. Focus on growth and opportunity.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Instead of saying, my old manager was terrible, you could say, I learned a lot in that role, but I was looking for a better environment where I could continue growing.
That sounds so much better.
Exactly. It is honest without sounding negative.
Because employers want positive people.
Yes, nobody wants to hire someone who complains constantly.
That's such an important tip.
Another mistake that hurts people in interviews is not making eye contact.
I think that's hard for nervous people.
It is. Many people look at the floor, the wall, or the table because they feel anxious.
But that can make them seem unsure of themselves.
Exactly. Eye contact shows confidence, attention, and respect.
It doesn't mean staring at someone the whole time, though.
Right, that would be strange. You just want natural eye contact.
Look at the interviewer when they are speaking and when you are answering.
Exactly. If there are multiple interviewers, try to include everyone.
That makes you seem more engaged.
Yes, and good eye contact can completely change the way people see you.
Because even if you're nervous inside, you can still look confident outside.
Exactly. And body language matters too.
Definitely.
Another mistake is having weak body language.
Like sitting badly?
Yes, slouching, crossing your arms, looking bored, or sitting too casually can make you seem uninterested.
That is true. Body language says a lot before you even speak.
Exactly. Good posture shows confidence.
Sit up straight, keep your shoulders relaxed, and try to look engaged.
Exactly. Smile when appropriate. Nod when the interviewer is speaking.
That makes the conversation feel more natural.
Yes, because interviews are not only about the words you use, they are also about the energy you bring into the room.
That is such a good way to say it.
Another common mistake is interrupting the interviewer.
Oh no, that can look really rude.
It can. Some people interrupt because they are excited. Others interrupt because they are nervous and want to answer quickly.
But either way, it sends the wrong message.
Exactly. Interrupting can make you seem impatient or like you are not listening.
So even if you know what you want to say, wait until the other person finishes.
Exactly. Good communication is not only about speaking well, it is also about listening well.
That is such an important point.
Employers want people who can listen carefully, follow instructions, and respect others.
And interrupting makes it seem like you only care about yourself.
Exactly. Another mistake people make is not asking any questions at the end of the interview.
I used to think that was okay.
A lot of people do. The interviewer usually says, "Do you have any questions for us?"
And some people just say, no, I think I'm good.
Exactly. But that can make you seem uninterested.
Because if you really want the job, you should be curious.
Exactly. Asking good questions shows that you care about the company and the role.
What kind of questions should people ask?
You can ask about the team, the company culture, the biggest challenges in the role, or what success looks like in the first few months.
Those questions sound smart and professional.
Exactly. And they also help you decide if the job is right for you.
That is true. Interviews are not only for employers. Candidates should also ask questions.
Exactly. Because you are also choosing whether you want to work there.
That's such a confident way to think about it.
Another mistake that immediately hurts credibility is lying.
That is a huge one.
It really is. Some people lie about their experience, their skills, or even their job history.
Maybe because they want to impress the interviewer.
Exactly. But lies are very dangerous because they are often discovered.
Especially if the company checks references.
Exactly. Or if the interviewer asks detailed questions.
That must be embarrassing.
Very embarrassing. Imagine saying you are fluent in English, and then the interviewer starts speaking quickly in English.
Oh no.
Exactly. Or saying you know how to use a certain software and then not being able to answer basic questions about it.
That would destroy trust immediately.
Exactly. Employers understand that candidates may not know everything.
But they want honesty.
Yes, it is much better to say, I have basic experience with that, but I am willing to learn.
That sounds much more professional.
Exactly. Honesty builds trust, and trust is one of the most important things in an interview.
Because if people trust you, they're much more likely to hire you.
Exactly. Another mistake that makes people look unprofessional is sounding too desperate.
What do you mean by that?
Some people act like they need the job so badly that they lose confidence.
They say things like, I will do anything, or I really need this job.
Exactly. And while it is okay to show enthusiasm, you do not want to sound desperate.
Because desperation can make people doubt your confidence.
Exactly. Employers want to hire people who believe in themselves.
So instead of begging for the job, people should focus on showing why they're a good fit.
Exactly. Be positive, be professional, and show excitement without sounding desperate.
That makes so much sense.
And here's a quick question for viewers. Which interview mistake do you think is the most damaging?
Arriving late? Looking at your phone? Complaining about an old boss?
Comment below because it's interesting to see which mistakes people think are the worst.
And stay with us because next we're going to talk about even more mistakes that ruin interviews, including forgetting names, using weak language, and one tiny habit that makes people look extremely nervous.
Another mistake that makes people look unprofessional is forgetting the interviewer's name.
That seems small, but I can imagine it matters a lot.
It does, because remembering someone's name shows respect and attention.
And if you forget it immediately, it can make it seem like you were not listening.
Exactly. Imagine the interviewer says, "Hi, I'm Sarah," and 5 minutes later you say, "Sorry, what was your name again?"
That is awkward.
It is, and it can make you look distracted or unprepared.
So what should people do if they're bad at remembering names?
A simple trick is to repeat the name right away.
Like saying, "Nice to meet you, Sarah."
Exactly. Repeating the name helps your brain remember it.
That is such a useful tip.
And if there were multiple interviewers, write their names down before the interview if possible.
That can really help.
It can, because using someone's name naturally during the conversation creates a stronger connection.
It feels more personal.
Exactly. Another mistake people make is using weak language.
What does that mean?
Weak language is when people sound unsure of themselves.
Like saying, I think maybe I could probably do that?
Exactly. Or saying, I'm not really sure, but maybe I could try.
That sounds very unconfident.
It does. Even if you have good skills, weak language can make you seem unsure of your own ability.
So people should speak more directly?
Yes. Instead of saying, I think I'm pretty good at teamwork, say, one of my strengths is teamwork.
That sounds much stronger.
Exactly. Strong language creates a stronger impression.
But people should still be honest, right?
Absolutely. You don't want to sound arrogant, you just want to sound confident.
That's a big difference.
It is. Confidence says, I believe in myself. Arrogance says, I think I'm better than everyone else.
And employers usually prefer confidence.
Exactly. Another mistake that makes people look nervous is speaking too quietly.
Oh yes, when people are nervous, their voice often becomes very soft.
Exactly. The interviewer should not have to struggle to hear you.
Because if they can't hear you clearly, it can make the conversation uncomfortable.
Exactly. Speaking clearly and loudly enough shows confidence.
Not shouting, of course.
Right, you don't want to sound aggressive, you just want to sound clear and easy to understand.
That is such an important point for interviews in English, too.
Absolutely. Many people worry that their English isn't perfect.
But sometimes the bigger problem isn't grammar, it's confidence.
Exactly. Even simple English can sound professional if you speak clearly and confidently.
That is such a good reminder for viewers.
Another mistake people make is using too many filler words.
Like, like, and you know?
Exactly. A few filler words are normal, especially when you're nervous.
But if you use them too much, it can make you sound unprepared.
Exactly. Imagine someone saying, I guess I was like working on, different projects.
That doesn't sound very professional.
No, it doesn't. One simple trick is to slow down.
Because when people speak too fast, they often use more filler words.
Exactly. It's better to pause for 1 second and think than to fill every silence with
That is such a useful tip.
Silence isn't always bad. A short pause can actually make you look more thoughtful.
That's true. Pausing for a moment sounds much better than sounding confused.
Exactly. Another mistake people make is not smiling.
Really?
Yes, some people are so nervous that they look serious the entire time.
I guess they're trying to look professional.
Exactly. But looking too serious can make you seem cold or uncomfortable.
And employers want to hire people who seem friendly too.
Exactly. A smile makes you look more confident, more positive, and easier to work with.
That is such a simple thing, but it can make a big difference.
It really can. You don't need to smile every second.
That would be strange.
Exactly. But a natural smile at the beginning, during positive moments, and at the end can completely change the atmosphere.
That is such a good tip.
Another mistake is forgetting to bring important documents.
Oh no, that would make someone look very unprepared.
Exactly. Imagine arriving at the interview and realizing you forgot your resume.
That would be terrible.
It would. Even if the company already has your resume, bringing extra copies shows preparation.
What else should people bring?
A notebook, a pen, copies of your resume, maybe references if needed, and any documents related to the job.
That sounds very professional.
Exactly. Being prepared shows that you take the interview seriously.
And it probably makes you feel more relaxed too.
Absolutely, because when you know you have everything you need, you feel more confident.
Another thing people forget is to turn off notifications on their phone.
That's true. Imagine your phone suddenly makes a loud sound in the middle of the interview.
That would be so embarrassing.
It would. That's why silent mode is not always enough.
Because the phone can still vibrate or light up.
Exactly. The safest option is to turn it completely off.
That's a smart idea.
Another mistake many people make is ending the interview badly.
What do you mean?
Some people finish the interview in a weak way. They leave quickly, forget to say thank you, or walk out without energy.
That's true. The ending matters just as much as the beginning.
Exactly. You want to leave a positive final impression.
So what should people do?
Thank the interviewer for their time, smile, shake hands if appropriate, and say something positive like, "I really enjoyed learning more about the role."
That sounds very professional.
Exactly, because the last few seconds of the interview are often what people remember most.
That is such an important point.
Here's a mini story. Imagine two candidates who both gave similar answers.
Okay.
The first candidate ends the interview by standing up quickly, saying, "Okay, bye," and leaving.
That feels awkward.
Exactly. The second candidate smiles, thanks the interviewer, says they're excited about the opportunity, and leaves confidently.
The second person sounds much more professional.
Exactly. Small details can completely change the final impression.
That is such a good lesson.
And stay with us because next we are going to talk about the final interview mistakes that make people look unprofessional, including forgetting to follow up, acting too comfortable, and one mistake that can destroy your chances in just a few seconds. Another mistake that makes people look unprofessional is acting too comfortable too quickly.
What do you mean by that?
Some people walk into an interview and act like they are already friends with the interviewer.
Oh no.
Exactly. They use too much slang, joke too much, sit too casually, or speak in a way that feels too informal.
I guess they were trying to seem relaxed.
Yes, but there is a difference between being relaxed and being unprofessional.
That is such an important difference.
For example, if the interviewer asks, "How are you today?" you should not answer with something like, "Pretty tired, honestly. I almost didn't come."
Oh, wow, that sounds terrible.
It does. Or imagine someone saying, "Yeah, my old job was a disaster, but whatever."
That definitely does not sound professional.
Exactly. You can be friendly, smile, and show personality, but you should still speak with respect.
Because the interview is not the same as talking to your friends.
Exactly. Another mistake people make is using inappropriate language.
Like bad words?
Yes, even small slang expressions or informal words can sound unprofessional in an interview.
Especially if you do not know the company culture yet.
Exactly. It's always safer to speak clearly and professionally.
That makes sense.
Another mistake that can ruin an interview very quickly is not listening carefully.
I think nervous people sometimes focus so much on what they want to say that they stop listening.
That happens all the time. The interviewer asks a question, but the candidate answers a completely different question.
That must be frustrating for the interviewer.
It is, because it makes it seem like you're not paying attention.
So people should slow down and really listen before answering.
Exactly. If you don't understand the question, it's okay to ask for clarification.
That is much better than giving the wrong answer.
Absolutely. You can say something like, "Could you please repeat the question?" Or, "Do you mean in my current job or my previous job?"
That actually sounds thoughtful and professional.
Exactly. Employers would rather repeat the question than listen to an answer that doesn't make sense.
Another mistake people make is talking only about themselves.
That's a big one. Some candidates only talk about what they want.
Like salary, vacation time, and benefits.
Exactly. Those things matter, but if that's all you talk about, it can make you seem selfish.
Because the employer wants to know how you can help the company too.
Exactly. A good interview is balanced. You talk about your goals, but you also talk about how your skills can help the team.
That sounds much more professional.
Another mistake that hurts people is not being enthusiastic.
Really?
Yes, some people answer every question with very little energy.
Like, yeah, I guess I could do that.
Exactly. They sound bored, tired, or uninterested.
Even if they really want the job.
Exactly, but the interviewer cannot read your mind.
So if you're excited about the opportunity, you need to show it.
Exactly. Smile, use positive language, and speak with energy.
Because enthusiasm is attractive.
It is. Employers like people who seem motivated and excited to be there.
That makes so much sense.
Another mistake people make is focusing too much on weaknesses.
Oh yes, some people become too negative about themselves.
Exactly. They say things like, "I'm not very good at speaking," or "I don't have much experience," or "I'm terrible with technology."
That does not create a good impression.
No, it doesn't. Of course, you should be honest, but you should also focus on your strengths.
And if you mention a weakness, explain how you're improving it.
Exactly. For example, instead of saying, "I'm bad at public speaking," you could say, "Public speaking used to be difficult for me, but I've been working on it by practicing presentations."
That sounds much better.
Exactly. It shows self-awareness and effort.
Another mistake people make is forgetting to follow up after the interview.
That's such a missed opportunity.
Because most people think the interview is over once they leave.
Exactly, but sending a short thank you message can make you stand out.
Really?
Absolutely. A simple email saying, "Thank you for your time. I enjoyed learning more about the role," can leave a very positive impression.
That sounds so professional.
It is, and because many people don't do it, it can help you stand out even more.
That is such an easy thing to do.
Exactly. It only takes a few minutes, but it shows appreciation and professionalism.
Another mistake people make is not preparing for common questions.
Yes, some people think they can just walk in and answer everything naturally.
But then they get surprised by basic questions.
Exactly. Questions like, "Tell me about yourself. Why do you want this job?" Or, "What are your strengths and weaknesses?"
Those questions are so common.
They are, and if you prepare in advance, you'll feel much more confident.
Because you already know what you want to say.
Exactly. Preparation reduces anxiety.
And people who prepare usually sound much more professional.
That's true. Here's a quick tip for viewers. Before an interview, practice your answers out loud.
Not only in your head.
Exactly. When you speak out loud, you notice what sounds good and what sounds awkward.
That's such a useful idea.
You can even record yourself.
That sounds scary.
It can feel strange at first, but it helps a lot. You can hear your voice, notice your body language, and improve your answers.
That's actually really smart.
And now we have reached one of the biggest interview mistakes of all.
What is it?
Giving up too quickly after one bad interview.
That is such an important point.
Because many people have one bad experience and immediately think, "I'm terrible at interviews."
But interviews are a skill.
Exactly. And like any skill, you improve with practice.
So one bad interview doesn't mean you're a failure.
Not at all. Even very successful people have had bad interviews.
That's comforting.
It should be, because every interview teaches you something.
Maybe you learn to speak more clearly, prepare better answers, or feel more confident.
Exactly. The important thing is to keep going.
Because the more interviews you do, the easier they become.
Absolutely.
And if one interview goes badly, don't let that destroy your confidence.
Learn from it and move forward.
Exactly, because one interview does not define your future.
That is such a powerful reminder.
So, let's quickly recap the biggest interview mistakes that make people look unprofessional.
Arriving late, dressing too casually, checking your phone, not researching the company, and giving weak answers.
Talking too much, complaining about old jobs, not making eye contact, interrupting, and forgetting to ask questions.
Using weak language, speaking too quietly, using too many filler words, forgetting documents, and ending the interview badly.
Acting too comfortable, not listening carefully, sounding unenthusiastic, forgetting to follow up, and giving up after one bad experience.
That's a lot of mistakes.
It is, but the good news is that all of them can be fixed.
And sometimes fixing just one or two of these mistakes can completely change the way people see you.
Exactly, because professionalism isn't about being perfect.
It's about showing respect, confidence, preparation, and effort.
Exactly. And if you remember that, you'll already be ahead of many other candidates.
Before we finish, comment below and tell us which interview mistake you think is the worst.
And if you found this episode helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who has a job interview coming soon.
Because one small tip could help someone get the job they've been dreaming about.
And here at Talk Easy Daily, we want to help you improve your English and your real-world communication skills at the same time.
Thank you so much for listening.
And remember, confidence doesn't come from being perfect.
It comes from being prepared.
See you in the next episode.